Hi everybody, it's Lyn from Lyn's Crafts. I just came by real quick to show you, I'm wanting to make a two-piece mold so that I can make a three-dimensional key instead of making a flat-backed key like I have here. This is great for gluing down, but I'm wanting to make some that I can hang that'll be two-sided. So, what I'm wanting to do is I want to remake, because I've made another mold of the opposite side that I can make a 3D mold out of by lining up my little alignment marks. But what I want to do is I want to make a keyed mold of this key like you would make a ceramic mold. I don't have any silicone molds, so I couldn't tell you whether I would prefer silicone molds over, this is original Sculpey, and I'll explain why I use original Sculpey. But I'm wanting to make it where I don't have any trouble lining the two pieces up, so I'm going to make me a two-piece mold. But the reason I prefer the original Sculpey for molds is because, can you see how thin that is? Now the other piece I have made quite a bit thicker. I was probably running out of clay when I made this. But if I use something like Fimo or some Sculpey 3 or something like that, even as thick as that other piece, it has a tendency to want to crack pretty easy, because I do put quite a bit of pressure on these, and this mold right here I've probably used 50 times at least. So here's what we're going to do. I've got a ball of clay already rolled out, and like I said, this is just plain original Sculpey. I get it at Walmart. It's like $5.97 for a pound of it. So you can make quite a bit of charms and molds and stuff like that. Now for my jewelry and stuff, I do use Primo clay, sometimes a little bit of Sculpey 3 in various colors. I'll mix with the Primo. I just like the smoothness and the easy workability of the Primo. So I've got a key. I'm sorry. Am I thinking about what I'm doing? No. Let me roll this back. Because all I need is an ingot of clay, flattened out just a little bit, so that my key will fit me a little longer. Probably could have used just a little bit more clay, but this will work. Alright. That little bit right there. Yeah, that's going to be long enough. Alright, again, I've got my trusty acrylic block. I just want to make sure it's a little bit level. There we go. And this time, I didn't do it last time, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little Pearl-Ex powder, so that my key, even though the key itself is rusty, this is the key I've talked about quite a few times. It's an old door key, old skeleton door key. Here's a flat mold, like I showed you, that I've made of this same key. Alright, I'm gonna go. Nope. What I'm wanting to make sure is that I've got plenty of clay around the edge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mash this key in about halfway. A little more than halfway up here at the top. I want the top to be kind of flush, because in clay I want that to be a little bit thicker. I'll show you when I pull this out how thin that key really is. So there we go. Luckily it's hollow in the end, so it's pretty easy to get out. Okay, there we've got it. Our lovely little key. But what I want to do before I go any further is I want to take a little bit of clay in two little halves, and I want to make little pointy triangles. And as you can see, that's exaggerated what I'm wanting, but that's what I'm going to want. So I'm going to make two little bitty triangles. And put them away from the edge of the key so that clay can get in between there. And I'll show you a close-up of this in just a second. Again, I'm looking through the camera, so it makes it a little more difficult, and I'm probably in y'all's way as much as I am in my own way. So let's move this one down. There's what I'm wanting. Those are going to be your alignment pins for the next piece of clay, the next piece of the mold. I could put a tiny little drop of liquid Sculpey underneath there, and it would bake it down just a little bit better, but I'm not too worried about it. The fact that it's got some of that Pearl X powder underneath there will make it not want to stick as much. So I need to make sure it's stuck down. And they don't have to be little triangles, just so long as they stick up above, your mold, so that they will go into the other piece of the mold. And I'll show you what I mean after I bake this. So I'm going to bake this. Although I see I didn't get that stuck down very good. Okay, I'm going to bake this. Okay, here we go. Baked piece right out of the oven. I've put some Pearl X powder. I've got another piece that I've made basically the same size. This piece is quite a bit thicker to accommodate the little points that we made, the little triangles. So, flatten that slightly. Flatten it just a little bit more. I'm sorry, something blew in on the air a while ago, and I sneezed a bunch of times. And I'm hoping it didn't bring some allergen with it or something, but I'm afraid it did. So this time I want the key to go this way. Alright. Again, let me put just a little bit of Pearl X powder down first. Make the key let go just a little bit easier because it's going to set in there for just a second or two. Maybe a minute or two. Alright. Yeah, I want it to go this way. Sorry again, I'm looking beside the camera. Alright, plenty of room around the top. Alright. Again, about halfway down. Deeper up here. Alright. This time, I don't want to pop my key out yet, though. Okay, while the key is in there, I'm going to attempt to flip this over and line it up where the points will go into the clay in the proper place. Let's see. Sorry about that. Let's see how we did. Okay, let me see if I can show you up close. Right there, barely, it moved the key just a little bit. So it may not be perfectly lined up. Let's see if I can fix that. Oh, sorry. I hope I went the right direction. That should be good. Alright. So there we go. There we go. There we go. We've got our keyed piece that the next time I make a three-dimensional key, the mold will line up perfectly. Here's a piece that I made from just the left and the right, guessing whether they were lined up or not. And as you can see, it was very close, but I'd like it to be just a little closer than that. So I'm going to bake the other piece and then come back and we'll make one. Okay, let's try real quick to finish this up. I'm going to go eat me some lunch. So I've got the two pieces dusted with the Pearl-Ex. I rolled me out a little bit of, I'm so sorry, I have to show this first. It's a little bit of Gold Primo, which is a little bit firmer than the original, the Sculpey original. Sorry. My lunch is calling me. Alright, so that's a bit thick. Actually, it's a bit thick. Let me dust that one more time. Because, you know what? Now that I've said that, I'm going to change my mind again. I'm going to change my mind again. I would probably say surprise, surprise. Okay, let's stick it back in there. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Then, I take the craft knife and just cut a bit of this away. Because I don't mind it squeezing out. But since we have our alignment pins, we're going to need the clay to go around that a bit. So cutting some of this off here will help, not quite so much. But you need that thickness to go up inside the other mold. Excuse me. Now I can actually flatten this top out just a little bit. Okay, now we got our other part. And again, I'm all over the place. I'm going to pop this piece off the glass though. Just so you can see what I'm doing a little better. Okay, got our alignment pins aligned. Hey, stay still. I'm sorry, y'all. I got paint all over me, and go wash my hands and eat my lunch. Now, another thing you can do is use something else to help you mash. There we go. Get some of the clay to mash out now. There we go. There we go. Sorry. Well, it really sounds like a lot of effort, but part of it was because we got clay up in our alignment pin holes. Let's get that out of there. Little experimenting. See what works best. Of course, when you're doing ceramics, you're pouring a liquid in, so you don't have all this trouble. Alright, now we'll try it one more time. Get out of there. There we go. So sorry. No, I keep getting off camera. Now then, we're getting a lot better fit. Alright. Looks pretty good. Sorry, total experiment. Seeing what'll work better, to cut my extra off first or to leave it on there. Because I'm not sure. Already my clay has sit in there too long. And it's wanting to stick to the mold. So we're going to go ahead and let it come out. Alright. You can see that my mold still is not aligned completely properly. But it's looking like it's going to work. Get all this picked up. Alright. Next time I'll definitely take it out of the mold before I trim it. Alright, sorry about that. I'm going to try this again. What I've done now is I've cut all the extra off that I could and put the piece back in the mold. This time it should be very little and very thin bit to trim away. There we go. Much easier to trim away. It was so loose I thought it would just flop right into my hand. Nope, because it was stuck in two little places right down there at the bottom. And there we have it. Let's see if I can trim this up. Again, I'm not sure how well they actually lined up. Should have been pretty good, but it's clay, so. And again, getting it perfect is not very important because we can sand that after we bake it. You just want to get the extra because you don't want to sand that much. Because I don't want to sand that much. Hey, truth be told. Wow. Come on. My blade is about as dull as a butter knife. Alright. It's actually not too bad a line. It's better than I thought it was. So, a little bit of pushing around before I stick it in the oven. And a lot of that will trim right up. Alright. So there we go. I'll put that in the oven and come back one more time, but before I get up to stick that in the oven, here are the other three pieces that I started out with. Here's the one I made just from the left and right mold pieces with no alignment, anything other than just markings where I marked where the molds line up. Excuse me. So as you see, I just painted that black acrylic paint and then rubbed over it with some silver. This one, I did the same thing, except for this is the flat back one, and I had a little silver still on my glass when I dabbed some gold into it, so it's kind of a platinum-y kind of color. And then my favorite one, flat backed again, but totally rusty. And I did that with these three colors of just acrylic paint. Folk Art in a rusty nail, Americana in a cocoa, and Apple Barrel in a burnt umber. And I actually did black first, and then I did the burnt umber, the cocoa just barely here and there, and then same thing with the rusty nail, just barely here and there. And then I went back with just barely a little bit on my finger of the burnt umber, and toned these other two back down. Excuse me. And it really looks like rusty metal, other than the fact that now it has Pearl powder on it. But anyway, so there's that. I'll be back, like I said, one more time and show you the finished, or maybe show you finishing the 3D key. So I'll bake that, eat my lunch, and be back. Okay, so here we go. This, I'm sorry I didn't show the trimming and the spraying. This is the one that came out of the key mold. And all I did was trim it up, sand it just the least little bit, and then I sprayed it with Lindy Stamp Gang in the Buccaneer Bronze and the Ponderosa Pine Olive. Or did it look kind of patinaed brass, maybe. Patinaed bronze. So that's the one from the two-piece mold. Let's do this. That's the original key. And again, like I said, next time I will bake it before I try to do any trimming, because it did distort it just the least little bit. So, still looks great. And then these are the other three that I showed before. These two are the flat ones. This is the one I did the rubber stamp over. Love the look of that. And then here's the gold one. I'm sorry. This one's the gold one. Here's the silver one that I did with the right and the left. That's, see if I can tell this way. It's just not as aligned as this piece. You can see there's a big difference. How much thinner the shaft is on this one. Now some of that is because of the rubber stamping has flattened it out a little bit. But there we go. Keys. So I've got some keys made up for some upcoming projects. This will go back in my box, my hoard box. Left and right keyed mold. Either way would work perfectly. The only reason I didn't key the first set was because I had made this one so long ago. So I decided to do this keyed mold just so they would line up easier and more efficiently, so I could make quite a few more of these. Because every time I go to use one, and the time before I made 5 or 6, they're always gone. It's just one of those things I use a lot of. Same thing, this clock is actually from a watch that my son had when he was a young teenager. Kind of an outdoorsy, with a sort of fake compass bezel. It didn't have any sort of compass function, but the crystal in it was already broke, so I just pulled it apart and popped the crystal out and made a mold, and I use this also quite often. So just a quick little lesson on molds. These are some coins also made from a mold, and I need to do another one of those also. Of course, you could also make 2 and glue them together, or while they were excuse me, while they were raw, try to stick them together. That it's very hard to do to keep from distorting them. But alright, that's all I've got for today. Excuse me. And maybe for a day or two at this rate. I'll probably come back with some hauls here over the next couple of days. I'm trying to work on this mini album. I think I gave a sneak peek of it before, but I just don't have any embellishments or anything that are going to go with these colors or styles. So I've been looking around trying to find whatever I can find and make whatever I can make. So that'll be a slow one, but I'll be back. I'll holler at y'all later. Bye now.